Hello, everyone, and welcome to Old World. We are back with another 2025 Old World Community Tournament. In this match, we have Moroten versus Blaj. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Let's see here. Make sure I'm all set up to go. I think we are all set up to go. Let our friends in Discord know that we're having another party in the old world over here. And we have a dual square map, Coastal Rain Basin. Let's do a quick count of the city sites here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I just counted 10. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep, 10. And then 2 in the center. So that's 22 sites total. Moroten has opted to select Egypt first. We have an Egyptian orator. Oh, boy. Egypt versus Assyria. Here we go. We are in for a treat today. We have an Assyrian commander. Assyrian commander. Okay, I gotta do this one more time. I want to let everybody know that we have some fun going on. Okay, so this is super exciting. I don't know if we have an affable commander. Okay. Now that is something interesting. We have an affable Assyrian commander, so we're getting a little bit of growth. There's iron in the capital city. Champions settled right away. Okay, and we have the Egyptians back in the tournament after a while. And we have an Egyptian frugal orator. So we're going to have very, very cheap farms along our rivers because frugals will stack with with this farm bonus. Yes, we have no Carthage in this map. However, we do have an orator, so Egypt certainly will be attempting to cosplay as Carthage, I suspect. Which still will be very exciting to see. I was half tempted to pick an orator myself in my very first tournament match. Again, in an effort to show off something a little bit new and spicy. But I decided to go with a Babylonian hero instead. And now here we have the first, quite possibly the first potential orator in the entire tournament, I believe. I believe this is the first tournament, and I want to say this is the first commander, but I actually think it's the second, possibly even the third commander of the tournament. So, very, very exciting time to be alive in the Old World Tournament. Very, very exciting day for everybody. Just getting off of a rousing marathon Carthage spree over the weekend. If you've been following with us live this end of October. If you're joining us after the fact on YouTube, glad to have you here. And I hope you're enjoying the tournament. I hope you're enjoying all the content, regardless what time of year or moment in history you seem to be joining us and viewing this content. Thrilled to have you here, and we hope you enjoy the game. Please give us a like, a subscribe, leave a comment. And if you're from the future, let me know how far in the future. Wouldn't it be fun if somebody was watching this a year from now? Saying, oh man, that Old World game's so good. And then finding, Googling, a year from now we're in a second tournament. And players are like, oh wait, they do tournaments for this game? And they go on YouTube to find all this content. And then someone just gets addicted enough that they watch all of the 2025 tournament content. At some point, I don't know who on earth would have time for that. I guess I have time for that, because here we are, right? Divination opening for the Egyptians and stone cutting opening for the Assyrians. This is fantastic to see. Check this out. Both nations have exactly 10 science per turn to start the game, because not only are either of these nations not a wisdom pick, neither of these nations even chose a trait like intelligent or educated to get them that science boost. So both nations are starting with 10 science per turn. Very fascinating to think. The timer is paused, and it's beginning now. And let me just check our chat to see how we're doing here. Do I start the timer? Does it do that? Yep, you need to start that automatically. Okay. And they're going to be going. They have 10 turns of simultaneous. We'll be swapping over to tight afterwards. Classic standard rules. Tournament rules. I don't see anything that strikes me too out of the ordinary. Yep, everything seems to be good. All right, so looks to me like we're going to attempt to get our first flanking clear here. Very exciting. He does have the orders, so this would be, yep, 2 up to here. And then he would have 2 orders left, so he can do this. Let's go, Blaj. Flank, show us the commander. Good God, God damn it! I'm already mad. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. Yes, it's entirely possible that the Egyptians will attempt to cosplay as Carthage. We opened with Steadfast. Really lucky draw on this beginning warrior. Really nice to have Steadfast pull out for the starting warrior. One of the best possible promotions you could... Actually, no, hands down. It's the best promotion you could get for your starting warrior. Do we have access to any generals? We don't. All right. We want to try and find some tribes, though, because there's lots of Gauls in the north and lots of Scythians in the south. What's interesting here is that the map is kind of like bisected by these Pyrenean mountains and the Nubian mountains over here, right? So action is going to funnel towards these central lakes. There's 22 sites on the map total, but I have a feeling that a lot of the action is going to be centered in the north here, and maybe the southern half will be mostly cut out. Also, another thing I want to point out is that this is a dual map and a square map, and there are 22 sites on this map. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is earlier today we had a dual coastal rain basin map at the ultra-wide perspective with only 17 city sites on the map. So just emphasizing the idea that this ratio doesn't actually impact, it does impact, but it doesn't necessarily determine which map is going to have more or less city sites. So a dual ultra-wide doesn't necessarily have more or less sites than a dual square. Now, one exception that you'll find to that is the continent map. Dual continent square tends to be pretty tiny. But yeah, no, the same kind of thing there, really, though. It squeezes the map. Because what happens is, like, this whole top half gets squished down, and then you just play a stretched out map. So that can lead to either a similar layout of cities, or even in some cases a smaller amount of cities, like we're seeing here. This square dual coastal rain basin map has 22 sites on it, and the ultra-wide played earlier today had 17 city sites on it. So it looks like we did get that flanking over here. I think so. We only took a little bit of damage. So I'm guessing that Blaj went for the flank there. Very nice to see. And he's going to be moving up with his militia as well, and probably going to try and keep flanking as best he can. So we're going to get really good clears off of this champion combo here. Ooh, we have an Eagle Eye access pretty early on. Nice to see. Question from the chat asking, does Orator and Carthage synergize, or is it a waste? I would say it's a waste. The trick with the Orator is that you purchase the tribal units with legitimacy. So that's already a pretty steep ask. I would not be surprised if we're getting divination first, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Egyptians bring in the cleric family and start placing shrines down with their stone income, right? Because they already have a stone stockpile. So what that's going to give this Orator, right, is a early stockpile and early access to an extra order per city due to their shrine. So placing a shrine in each city will give them an extra order. And what does that allow him to do? That will allow him to spend regular legitimacy in recruiting tribes early on to give them that what you call it, that military boost that they're looking to get, and that power spike that they're trying to get without actually cost them orders. It will still cost them family opinion because, legitimacy is also family opinion, but it's not going to cost that many orders because they're going to make it up on the back end with what I will suspect is, another landowner. Oh! Man after my own heart. Double landowner opener. Love to see it. With the 2 quarries, I might put the Sage's seat there, but honestly, landowners on quarries is just fine too, because you're going to get these stonecutters online in 0 time. But yeah, double landowners opener, big fan of that. Cool. We're cooking now. Backing off with this skirmisher, and I think we'll probably head to this camp in order to try and clear it. Welcome from 4 minutes in the future. Thanks for joining. We already have the Assyrians clearing nicely. Their champs is paying off here. And I suspect they went in for another flank, because that is some rapid clear time. I'll try to keep the camera more on this location so we can eyeball this. I like the settler going deep out. I like the slinger in the back line as well. He might run into an issue of this camp spawning before he can settle it, but honestly, that's not the biggest deal. I've done that before. I've just let my backline respawn because it respawns at the level with which you cleared it the first time, so it will be the weakest possible camp. It will come back into a hovel, which we see right here. And then, that you have a champ seat right here, so by the time you get around to building, a random slinger at some point, just toss them this way and clear the camp again. No big deal. So that's fine. Not always ideal, but not the worst thing in the world. It's not like this camp will sit here spawning a massive amount of barbarians this entire time. Going for a forced march settle. I suspect we'll see hunters here. We have camps. We have 2. Yep. We have elephants. A couple of stompy boys. We have fur for the culture. There's more fur over here for more culture. And we are Assyria, so we can plop a nice, juicy... there's even more fur right there. And right there. Lots of fur. Let's turn on that resource thing real quick. Where are we? Yep. So plenty of fur around the region. Really nice to see. All right. So... let's see where we're at now. We did have affable, right? I checked that already, and we did frugal for the orator. So we have a scout in the center. We will be made aware of what our opponent is up to soon. And so interesting. We're not wasting any legitimacy trying to get any of these barbarian skirmishers. That does make sense. Certainly can speed up the clearing process, but of course every legitimacy buy is precious, so I can understand that. I will be deeply curious to see if we can expect the clerics play here in the long run, because I suspect we will be using clerics to pay back the legitimacy loss of recruiting tribals. We don't see a recruit on the Marauder. You're going to want to grab these Marauders 100% on this map. You have all this forest. You want these Marauders because it's the Marauder for the Gauls that upgrades all the way into the Geseta, which I believe is what they called. And those units, not the ranged units, only one of the tribal units that upgrades with each faction has their special promotion. And in the case of the Gauls, they actually get the Ranger promotion. So that will be a plus 25% attack and defense in the woods, which, if we're following along, will actually offset Steadfast. So hopefully Moroten is aware of that nuance, and I really want to see him buying up these Marauders and using these as the primary force he upgrades to 6 strength unit, because that'll be a game changer. That could be a game changer. Let's hop over to the Assyrians, see how they do. Is he force march? That's what he's doing. He's force marching this. He's going to force march and go for a single clear this turn. I love it. Am I right? Oh, I love this. We're getting some conflict. Oh, I love this. We have the Gauls signed up already. We now have made contact. We know we have an orator versus commander. 2 turns. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to try and let them know. All right. I texted them in Discord to let them know that they can manually swap to tight at any point. Hopefully they'll catch that before the next time. Wow, we still don't know. We still don't know. There it is. There it is. We've made contact. We have eyes. The Assyrians now have eyes on the warrior. On options. On. All right, I'm just trying to instruct the player on how to swap into tight now, because if either one of these wants to attack, now would be the time to swap. Options might be UI. Okay. They are still in simultaneous. The turn. Okay, hold on. All right. Sorry, I'm just instructing the players on how to do this, and I think they will figure it out. Okay. There we go. We are good to go. Okay, perfect. He can end his turn, and he will end his turn with the 1 order left, and everybody is fine and happy, and nobody lost anything. Great. Perfect. Okay, so now if conflict happens, everything will happen in the correct order. Very exciting time. Very exciting time. There could be a moment where Blaj is a little confused about having his turn passed to him with only 1 order, but if he asks about it, we can clarify. He might not be aware that he has to end his turn. A little bit of a hiccup there with the early swap into simultaneous, from simultaneous to tight. But very, very exciting times indeed. We do have some tribal recruitments set up here. And now Moroten will have a decision to make. Does he want to try? He can't. Oh, so okay. So Moroten cannot see this. Now he can. The Moroten's going to have to decide. Does he want to try and go to tango with a commander in the woods? It is in the woods, but you really don't want this thing flanking you, even if you are in a wood, have that protection of the forest. I would want to back this marauder off, get my city settled, and start upgrading him. Because again, just a reminder, a 6th strength marauder from the Gauls will have ranger promotion. So once this unit gets the ranger promotion and is 6th strength, that will effectively counter the steadfast benefit. And if we look up here, we have another melee unit which can become a Gaceta again, and even another one over here. So we want to see Moroten backing off here. I think that's the correct play. Maybe back off. Yeah. 2, and I don't know. He really doesn't want to get flanked, so not sure how he's going to figure that one out. No, I don't mind. I don't mind landowners here. I'd probably do sages too, but double landowners is really good to start in general, in my opinion. Really nice for fluid worker flow between two cities. And let's not forget, you will get both of these quarries online pretty quickly. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Although, yeah, sure, with a sage's seat, you open yourself up to a potential easy scholar governor. So some early inquiries off of the marble if you want, or, you know, anything else. But I don't mind the sages. I don't mind the landowners there. We're getting navigation early on as the Egyptians, and let's see where we're at with the Assyrian. We're going Polis first. Interesting. Do we have a land consolidation grab? No. Maybe forestry because we want to buff our military shrine. And I think Blaj is debating. He's probably doing... Oh, wow. He could kill that. We could see some early aggression here. If he can flank around here. All right, we're scouting first. Okay, we're seeing more. We did opt to buy this barbarian after all, probably because of the pressure of the scout. Sorry, the commander up in front. Really, really nice to see. Really, really nice to see. And let's not forget, this is an elimination match. Oh, he's going to have to buy the order, but I think that's worth it. Definitely, especially if Moroten is aware that these guys, forgive me, these guys upgrade to Gacetas and will have the Ranger promotion. You definitely want to take those things out early. Thankfully, Egypt will have the protection of a city soon. So that's pretty much going to be the only win there, I think, for Assyria. But that is first blood to the Assyrians, them killing one of the mercenaries for Egypt, which honestly hurts a little bit more if you're an orator because you spent the legitimacy to grab it. It burns a little bit more if you lose your... Oh, we're going to have to force march here, but that's fine. I think we'll be okay. Force march, settle here. And then this guy can move back. All right, yeah, we're plenty. We're fine. Where are we going, Harry? Far up or far behind? We get an elephant either way. Probably don't want to put ourselves... Well, no, that's fine, because would have forest on either side. That seems good. I think it would be too aggressive for Assyria to try and push this in. All right, so we're going further back. That's fine. I don't like that, though, because now look what we just did. Although, okay, maybe we're safe. That's fine. We could have ended up in the city, but whatever. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? All right. That's great. We do have the civics next to get our law up and running. We could run freedom for the growth, or we could run slavery for the income. I'm thinking I like slavery right now just because what we're looking at is we're going heavy pressure into the warriors. We're kind of responding to this aggression. Normally I'd like slavery first, but I think it's going to be a while until we build our workers, so you might as well just start getting that passive income right away. Back on over to Syria's side, and we are looking at a slinger, freshly built slinger. We did settler into slinger. Love that early aggressive play from Assyria here. Protects them from early aggression and also allows them to posture and keep clearing. So, really nice grab there from him. We have a scout out in the open from the Egyptians, which is absolutely killable. So, I suspect we'll punish that. Interesting. We do have Ranger opportunity. Really nice map for Ranger in general, to be honest. Yep, and we did grab it. And Marksman. Oh, good night. That's awful. That is just awful. We can get Marksman next. And then you probably want to do that early with a commander, because then as you are promoted, once you're fully promoted, all of your passive XP gain and all of your kill XP gain will go into your training pool. So that basically, as soon as you start raking in max... Whoa, we're going in for an attack here. Okay, this seems like a bad idea. We don't want our well-promoted unit to get locked in. We did position a scout in the woods. This is a tactical civilian block. Nope, never mind. No, it's not, because fuck it. Who cares, right? Okay, well, whatever. Okay, well, I mean, I think we're still fine. But that does give a tile for this warrior to come up and attack from a good position. Although, yeah, would still do 5 damage to this thing. So, yeah, really tricky spot. But this goes back to what I've been saying early on, very often in this tournament. So I'm really enjoying the level of aggression from both these players right now. But look at this. We settled a city second. And even though this is a landowner city, right? Even though it was not riders, it wasn't sagers, what did Moroten do? Moroten built a warrior right away. And this was before he even spotted Assyria. This is the level of insurance that you need. Same thing with Assyria back here. Always kind of sucks to use the capital to do it because it's really good for, building out settlers or whatever. But, he built a second unit immediately, And in this type of close-knit, tight arena, when you can end up encountering and in conflict with your opponent inside of 15 turns, you really don't want to be caught with your pants down and only having one military unit out in the open, especially when you have something like a commander or a tactician or a zealot that can hunt you down, run you down, and kill you. Really, really tricky. See, this unit's dead. I'll be curious if Assyria decides to just punish this merc buying. It's going to be tough for Moroten to really kill anything in this situation. I find the grab of the central site to be pretty amusing. I find that to be pretty amusing. Still hasn't moved this scout, though, so this scout is potentially able to be killed. But we can kill this. There's powerful flanking ability coming in handy. Oh, what a nice, exciting match. Already conflict. I love it. Are we going around the long way? No. Why don't you... What on earth is happening? I am going to lose my mind. Have we seen him flank once? Is he forgetting about the flanking? Oh my god. I think he's forgetting about the flanking. This is going to... Good God, man. All right, well, Blaj, if you've watched this after the fact, of course, we'll have a conversation about this at some point when this game ends. But if you have forgotten about the flanking, that's just a real big bummer here. Because this guy was definitely dead, and I don't think... Yeah, this warrior wouldn't be in a position to kill out of this stuff. Of course, in fairness, let's not forget one important thing. This was a landowner settle. We built a warrior right away, as I've said. However, if this were a rider seat, next turn, this warrior would be finishing. So if Blaj is that up and that in tune on his timing, he would have every reason to assume that it's possible that another warrior would be coming to join this fight any moment now. And so I can respect maybe a conservative push, although personally... Because this costs legitimacy, I would trade my militia for it. I would kill this, make him waste the legitimacy, and if I lost the warrior, fine, whatever. But if I don't lose the warrior, even better. Sorry, the militia, even better. Yeah, I'm not sure if he was flanking against the barb camps because I wasn't keeping an eye on it. All right. Whoa, the militia's dead. Okay, so we went straight for it. So we're going to lose the militia anyway, and all right, so we're choosing... It'll be curious. We haven't moved too much. Let's go over to Egypt. Still can't see the second slinger from Egypt. He's running around probably looking for more mercs. Unfortunate that he's just missing these northern ones here. He could really use like an extra assist. Especially maybe one to come cut this guy off. He has riders. If he can find a horse, there's a horse up here. He should send this scout to this horse, get himself swift as well. That would help out his ability to move his units around. All right, so we have some kills on both sides here. Headed back to the Assyrians. No reason, though, he can't step in these woods, which would make him harder to kill. Look at this wonderful mobility that this commander has moving around. He has multiple good options. How far is this? Can this force march? This could force march. He could do a risky play here. He could do a super risky play. He could force march this slinger all the way to this location, then spend 2 training. He would need to spend 1 training, rather, to set him up here, and then 2 more training to... Or maybe only 1 more training to kill this thing with a flank. He could force march this. 100%. He would have 3 orders left. He wouldn't even need to spend any training. This warrior is dead if Blaj can math this out. 1000% this warrior is dead if Blaj can math this out. And there it is. Oh my god. There it is. Good night. Oh man, he didn't even go for the flank. That's incredible. That's incredible. All right, first warrior for the Egyptians down. Not looking good for Moroten, but also, again, another great reason, can't emphasize it enough, to have this insurance. We have a warrior coming out next turn, so we're going to be back to having at least 1 warrior, and we have another warrior coming out in 3 turns. Really what you want to do. Unfortunately, actually, wow, this is great. This is great news for Egypt. There's no additional military units coming down the pipeline just yet. So I'm not sure... that is a shitload of damage that this slinger can do to the city, though. I'm not sure that this is going to end it for the Egyptians, though. The training difference is 383 training for the Assyrians, with 92 coming per turn, and there's 212 for the Egyptians, with 32 coming per turn. Stepping into the woods here, directly next to this scout, so the Assyrians will be aware that there is a warrior coming and building another warrior here. So this is one of the things of this early harass that's going to set your opponent back. We're building warrior after warrior compared to a worker and another settler. It's actually really nice that Egypt was able to get their settler pacing out thanks to the landowners, thanks to the growth, thanks to not building that second warrior in their capital, unlike Assyria did. So they're going to be at 4 cities pretty easily, no problem. We have purchased another tribe. We're going to have to watch out for how much legitimacy we spend. But again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye out for him settling clerics, because clerics will help recoup his order economy on the back end. And yes, I suspect this skirmisher is still going to be dead. Really going to be tricky stuff. We do have another slinger here. Yeah, there's really no reason not to kill it, because even seeing the 1 warrior, 2 slingers with a commander is not going to be afraid of a warrior even in the woods. Blaj has every reason to be aggressive here. Love to see an opening salvo from a commander. In fact, with flanking, if he actually does flanking, for the love of God, he would be able to kill this. I think he can kill it anyway. It's 7 and 10. Oh, he can kill it anyway. He doesn't need to flank. He could kill it anyway. Egypt has spent only 9 legitimacy on mercenaries, so not too much. That's something a single temple from the clerics family can recoup. In theory, if you want to look at it this way, wow, there's a crit. There you go. Assyria doing Assyria thing. In theory, you could argue that with the cleric's new bonus, you could spend up to 40 legitimacy recruiting tribes if you want. Probably not the best idea for your family opinion, to be honest, but we have good family opinions so far. However, it is a way that you could kind of think of exchanging the cost of legitimacy and recouping it with orders. In fact, come to think of it, with riders 2 orders per city coming online, he's only actually down 1 order per turn so far. He'll be down 1 order per turn, period, but he's up by another 2 because of the rider seat, if that makes sense. So riders and clerics would combine quite nicely for an orator to basically pretend to be Carthage, and you could catch your opponent by surprise He did pick first, so maybe by picking Egypt, he might have been hoping that his opponent wouldn't have picked a champion nation. Of course, champions are certainly hard to pass up in this arena, or in general, because champions are strong. But definitely could be a fun thing. You pick somebody like Persia, who also has the best order economy in the game. The Persian orator would be a devastating thing to show off. That was actually... It was basically between that or Babylonian Hero for my first game, and I chose Babylon. But, yeah, that would definitely make your opponent in for a bit of a surprise if they're expecting you to not play Carthage, not get that mercenary buying advantage, and suddenly you just come over the hills and through the woods with, 8 6-strength tribal units because you spent a bunch of legitimacy on it, and yet you recouped that cost through riders, through clerics, or somebody like statesmen if you're Persia. All sorts of options. As Rome, you could do the Roman orator with statesmen if you wanted to. Probably clerics would be the best. Clerics and riders combos. So clerics and... that would be Egypt, Persia. Maybe the Hittite orator would make sense. Riders there. Again, give yourself, 20 to 30 legitimacy you can spend on tribals. And I feel like that would give you enough. That would get you about 6 tribals, give or take. 12 legitimacy has already given us, let's check the stat, 5. So for 12 legitimacy, we've gotten 5 tribal units. So I suspect for about 20 or 30, you could get yourself about a dozen, give or take. And I think that would be worth it. That's essentially the Riders family. The Riders family recoups the order cost of the orator and gets you about a dozen tribal units, give or take, plus or minus, maybe about 8 to 10. Really nice positioning, yes. They can't be Zoc-locked because of the city, and that could also bait your opponent into a surprise, because I've seen this happen before where players are not 100% aware that because this unit is directly against the city center, even if you zone of control lock it, it would be able to dip into the center. We put another commander... Ugh, that's going to be awful. We put another commander on a slinger, and we're going for the city strikes. I'll be curious to see how Moroten handles this pressure. It's going to be hard to get that next warrior out in time before you have to worry about healing. So close. He can settle here. This is either going to be sages or clerics. He's going in for an attack. Only 3 damage. That is just dreadful. He might have to come up. Yep, he's going to have to... Oh, man, he's healing. Well, I mean, if he gets killed... Oh, very easily killable. But if it gets killed, I guess that's less attacks on your city. So either way, that's fine, I suppose. Buys you more time. And can we get ourselves settled? No, we cannot. Not this turn. Do not move out. You definitely don't want this guy coming up. Since you can make this distance, just stay in your city. If you're watching after the fact, just stay in your city. Hide in your city. That way, this slinger... can't come up and, these slingers can't come up and kill your shit. I am shocked we're not building another military unit. Good for you. I love that, Moroten. Bold, my friend. All right, back to the Syrians now. I haven't really been paying attention to anything else going on. We did get a settler. Oh, we have some fun harass from Moroten going on down here, too. Oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be... Oh, we have barbarians down here. I love it. I think we're going to be okay. So we actually haven't been paying... So we have some purchases of tribes down here for some harass. We can't settle this city because of the scout, and it looks like we're going to make our way towards the center site, and we're going to be surprised by another scout, which is funny because we could actually go north right now. Oh, we're going... I love this. I love this. What a great, wonderful, wonderful waste of orders. This is awful. This is awful. I think you just let it... I think you just let it keep going. I mean, you're so close to the other warrior, you just have to let it keep going. And then repair once it's done. Yeah, Egypt, I think, is okay. I mean, it's certainly a setback. They've lost some legitimacy. They've lost some units. But I think what you're going to run into here is... oh, this is going to suck. More slingers coming down the way is definitely going to suck. I think what you're going to run into here is the question of, can Egypt keep fending this off? One, that's question number one. And number two is... does this aggression set back Blaj at all? You know, does his investment of orders coming down here... Because it's easy to think about the legitimacy we lose and stuff by recruiting these units and whatnot, and that's definitely a very valid point. But also, you know, Assyria spending all this orders and time just for harass that maybe doesn't translate to a definitive win condition, right? Nice. And we did bring in clerics, so that will recoup the cost of more mercenary buyers. We've spent 15 legitimacy on mercenaries, and we've upgraded. Nice. We've upgraded. I'll be curious if we go in for a kill here. We can't actually officially kill this unit now, not without a flank anyway, which would expose our commander. And this is a Gaul, so this can upgrade to 6 strength units. Another reason why I probably would like this one in the city center, although you'd lose the ability to upgrade it, I guess. Maybe walk it back here at some point. Really, really tricky situation. I don't know. I think Moroten is doing very well with this level of pressure here. And I'll be curious to see how the Assyrians handle their situation. Let's go back over here. They are still not aware. They're still not aware of this. I hope he attacks first. I really hope he attacks first. And the reason why is because if he attacks first... Nope. All right. Okay, so now he's going to catch wind of the fact that he can't settle here either. What a fantastic match. Oh, and he's still attacking. He doesn't give a shit. Okay. Cool. We got a mercenary event, a defiance. Love these ones. Oh, we can get 6 extra orders of that. Hopefully he accepts this on his turn, because I think if he doesn't, the orders will disappear. That's great. Love that event. Always nice to have that kick in the nick of time. Give it a little bit of extra boost. And that's another thing that you need to be careful about with these early aggressions. There are the occasional event that can give your opponent just a little bit of an assist, right? Oh, actually, we can't even see this unit. I wonder if Moroten did that on purpose. Really love that. That will give your opponent just a little bit of assist, right? Which is another reason why you want to make sure you have, like, not just enough numbers, but overwhelming numbers to actually get the job done, because every now and then you can get surprised with an extra militia that could contribute to something like a zone of control lock and things like that. Love that this thing is still hidden. That's great. We'll get another upgrade next turn. And it's still hidden even after that move. Wow, fantastic. So we moved all there. This is also blocked. We have 2 more slingers coming up, so one of these scouts is certainly going to die. And we are bringing in raiders. I feel like this might have been a misplay. It's going to be fun to distract, but I feel like you probably would have wanted to save your legitimacy for units you can actually get back here. Like, this guy's going to produce some more units. Get them back here and get them upgraded, because you really want that 6th strength defense. No, I definitely think we're entered into the failed rush territory. The window certainly, if nothing else, is closing. We have 3 warriors down here. Oh, did he just get this guy killed? No, he did not. All right, so we have a locked in place slinger, and this is going to be the first potential loss for Assyria in this conflict, and that's not the best. He has units coming down here that's also going to apply pressure on him to back off. In fact, if we can get another settler out, we could even, as Egypt, secure the central site, 5 turns on a settler here, he would have to come back. He's not going to be able to get the slinger back. He would have to come back and do 2 hits to this scout, while also put himself risk of being zone locked, right? And he also has this harass to deal with, and no other settlers coming down the pipeline, so I suspect some slingers will come down here. This is now Blaj's turn. This is a crazy map. This is old world, people. This is fantastic. You can't settle. Lesson learned. You can't settle. Did he not see it? There's no way. Delightful. Okay, so we're promoting. We'll definitely take... well, he could try and rely on crits. Go for a warrior and try to rely on crits. The militia, the definite kill. Oh, he can flank. Okay, so that's definitely a kill. That kind of sucks for Egypt. That's unfortunate. But Egypt will still kill a slinger. All right, but Egypt, I suspect Assyria will have to back off here. Currently, Egypt is ranked as stronger than Assyria, but that's going to change next turn. We could go for some pillaging if we want. That could be fun. Tax your opponent's order economy a little bit, because these units are very likely going to be dead. There's no way he doesn't think they're at least a champion slinger coming again. There's just no way. But this slinger here will come too. Fun times. Another warrior in 3 turns, another warrior in 7 turns. How many units have we lost so far? 5 units for Moroten, 1 for Blaj. All right, so we'll call that a win. It's a failed rush in terms of ending the game, but, I mean, definitely put a lot of pressure on your opponent early on, for sure. What I think will be the big steal... Oh, we're going for Acolytes now. Okay. It would have been an awesome steal if we could have ensured that we got this site. I think if I saw this settler sitting here, I would have brought out a settler and tried to punish their harass here even further by stealing the central site from them. Okay. Really would have liked to see this warrior step into the woods. It still is a pretty powerful slinger, but I suspect this slinger will back off. Also, is there any way we can Zocklock this? No. Could we have? Oh, if this guy... Oh, no! We only needed 1 extra damage. If this skirmisher went to this tile, this would have been locked in. Yes. Because it's on a red tile, so it wouldn't be able to step onto this tile. Oh, wow. We missed an opportunity there. We could have locked that in. We could have taken the 1 damage onto this thing. 1 damage from this tile. Kill with the warrior. That's all we needed, right? 1 extra damage, I think. I think this guy was 1 damage away from killing the unit, so it doesn't matter how much damage this skirmisher would have done. That's a bummer. And we have gone for a pillage, and we've gone for an attack. Oh, and this was supposed to come out next turn, I think. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was still 2. Yes. So this goes to the complexity of the rushing tactic. It's definitely appealing. It can be game-ending. We've seen tactic rushes ending games quickly. It's possible to do the same with a zealot or with a hero, or in this case, a commander. Early aggression, building lots of units with a champion, flooding a very small map like this, crossing a border very quickly. Somebody like Rome, very good candidate there to end a game quickly. Rome commander, Rome zealot. Roman Swift Zealot would be gross. You'd cross the map in 2 seconds, right? So there's all sorts of avenues and possibilities to end the game quickly by getting a quick jump on your opponent and killing their starting warrior or slinger, and then going for the throat. Now, The issue with that is if you fail, you've just spent your entire 20 turns worth of orders doing that thing that didn't really work, right? While your opponent, maybe that you set them back in some ways, like they built a bunch of warriors, they only have their one worker, right? But, I mean, it's potentially comparable. It's easy to lose momentum. It's a risk, basically. Sometimes a failed rush can cost you the game. Not always. I don't think this is going to be a failed rush that costs Blaj the game, to be honest. I think he did enough damage, especially because the kills he got weren't just bodies, they were legitimacy. So, Egypt spent orders that they lost per turn, and that's a lose per turn for the rest of the game, getting those units that Assyria had killed. So I don't think this failed rush on Assyria's part translates to a failed game, where that can sometimes completely happen. Sometimes failing a rush can fail so bad that it puts you so behind your opponent that now you've just lost the game. It does seem like there's a little bit better economic development in Egypt, though, and that's going to be a big advantage for having landowners, in fact, because, he was able to get 2 specialists up in these farms already for science, and now he has an acolyte coming online. We're back to the Egyptian turn. So the correct thing to do as Egypt in this situation, I think, would be to just chill out. And, of course, we're not going to do that. We're going to lock them in place. We don't have the training to. I would do this. I don't hate this, but I would do this if I had a settler already in production. I feel like we're skipping a step. But I mean, I don't hate it because now, now that there is both a scout and a militia on that tile, even if we kill this, oh, this is fantastic. Even if we kill this with the slinger, we won't be able to settle because the civilian is there. So then once we kill the militia, we'll be able to replace the militia with a warrior. So yeah, I mean, fine. A good job, Moroten. Holy shit. I think he's completely blocked the central site from this, settle. We just need to get a settler up and running. How long does we finish? It's 5 turns to build a settler. That's fine. Not too bad. We have a slinger now. 2 slingers. So that's going to be the real problem here, which is why I'd really like to see a settler coming up here. Now, we would be only 3 turns away from it on our next turn, right? And what we're going to run into, this issue we're going to run into here is that this 1 slinger is going to turn into 3 slingers very quickly. They have some cleanup here to do, but they will get this done pretty quickly. And then I feel like Blaj isn't going to want to just... Oh, we're going straight for it. Okay. Huh. All right. So there we go. He's saying, no, this is my city site. All right. This is the most amazing game. This is the greatest game. I'm thrilled. I love it. He doesn't even give a shit. He's like, whatever, I'll deal with these guys with this guy. He's not going to get this kill unless he crits. Incredible. Oh, he does get crit. Wait, what? Was I looking at the wrong thing? Well, okay, so we got that kill. That didn't seem right. Alright, so now what we need to figure out... Can we kill the settler? No, we can't. Oh, Egypt. Oh, Egypt. I'm on the edge of my seat here. We still have a scout down here, too. I love the force march. I mean, I can't believe this. This is awesome conflict. Awesome early game conflict. I feel like the better play for Egypt. I mean, I really like the boldness here, but I feel like the better play, if you didn't have the settler already coming up, I think the better play would just back off and focus on your econ. I would even just get the scout out of there and go back to business. Wild match. Yeah, send this guy back, get him upgraded, because we also just spent a force march to do that with the militia, when that force march could be a 5-strength javelineer, which seems more valuable to me at this stage. Yes. Yeah, so I think now is the time to back off. Of course. We'll see. Definitely no sense in losing a scout here. No reason to lose a scout. We do have another warrior up and ready to go, but unfortunately too far away to do anything. Don't have the training to force march. Yep, we're backing off. Nice to see. Okay. So Assyrians win the battle for the central city site. The Battle of the Twin Lakes. And the marauding Egyptian tribals are still burning Assyria down. Nice. Forcing a heal onto this worker. Gonna have to heal that worker up. That's an order there and a wasted worker turn. Wow. Wow. And yeah, we're a little late on the settler. Unfortunate, because we're going to have to start clearing elsewhere while Assyria is pressuring us. But I mean, we still have a few extra turns worth of city build queues than he has. So. And the scout has retreated into the woods at last. Victory to the Assyrians. Victory to Blaj in this first conflict. Although, you know what? I'm also going to call that victory to Egypt, because Egypt didn't die. So that's the real victory. Egypt is still in this game. They successfully defended a very heavy, aggressive push. It's going to be absolutely nightmarish to have a marksman, eagle-eyed, ranger. Oh, and I got it wrong again because of the crit. We can go one more. And heckler. Dear God. Please add heckler to this thing. Ranger, marksman, eagle-eye, steadfast, heckler. Well, mostly heckler, I care about that. Because now any generals out in the open here are just going to get murdered. All right, so now we have 3 slingers. Let's see where we're at. We're at similar in power. There's 3 slingers on the board. 1 max, pretty much max health for the Assyrians versus 2 warriors and an elite skirmisher. So that elite skirmisher can become a 6-strength unit. We're going to want to see this scout also disappearing into the wilderness as well. Woo! All right. Everybody, I think, can take a breath now. All of you guys in the chat with me, over 20 of you in the chat now, feel free to take a breather, take a calm breath. If you're joining after the fact, welcome to the tournament. We do have serfdom now. This is great news for Egypt. Let's do an overall check. There's no laws for Assyria. All right, so let's take a calm moment. Ooh, and we can the Amama Reformer. This is a trait specific to if you have the divine rule law. Nice little boost here. Some food, some wealth. Really nice to see. And then this can lead to something fancy. I forget the end of this. I think Honestly, I don't remember. Okay, so let's do an assessment. The entire time, Egypt had a slight science advantage. Overall science input into the tech tree right now is only 30 more science than their opponent. But if we take a look at the laws active, we have divine rule. We beelined serfdom. We started with freedom, and we got serfdom very early on because of our tech advantage here. So we have 1, 2, 3 laws. 3 from citizenship. We have aristocracy flagged. We went divination first. So aristocracy will come up at some point after we reshuffle. Now, if we hop back on over to our Assyrian friends, building more slingers, building a slinger, building a settler. Okay. Let's see where we're at in the tech tree. We had military drill, we had administration, so we went stone cutting into polis. Yes, I remember that now. We're thinking maybe we had a land consolidation play in mind. What are we currently, and we're teching divination now. All right, so we're going to be nowhere near correct law tempo unless we bring in clerics at some point. So, the next thing we want to assess for the Egyptians is where are our horses? Unfortunately, the only horse I can see... Oh, there's one up here. There's one up here, and there's one down here. So our timing on laws is going to be fine, but we went landowner's capital. So even though we're about to be developing, we will not be able to import there. We have to import here. Which means we need to get culture there. Which means, for me, I say build a shrine on top of one of these furs. You only need one of them. In fact, build it on this one because you'll expand. You'll bulldoze a fur here, and you'll grab a new fur, right? So you don't actually lose a fur. You get 50 culture if you build a shrine over this. That gets you boosted up here quicker. Gets us our stronghold faster. Do both of them if you have to. We're a little bit ways away. Yep, and for some counters for the Egyptian unique unit, the best you have to offer is phalanx, even though it's still they still get hurt by the Egyptian unique unit. We are 3 techs away, and let's check at the camel situation. Any camels on the map? Not anywhere close that matters. There are some camels down here, but if we were going to rely on land consolidation to lay the camel smack down on the Egyptians, this map is not really having it. Again, you maybe have a spot right there. So, and of course, the Assyrians will be able to get that. So that's absolutely on the table for the Assyrians. If Blaj decides to back off from his opponent and keep clearing. And it does look like he's about to make that decision. Wild time. Wild, absolutely wild time. We've married Atosa. Atosa the Bold. She's an exotic, bold diplomat, decent stat. She comes in as a lover at some point with an event, and she will replace your existing spouse with a bit of a lover's spat. Not really one of my favorite of the unique characters, but she always does start pretty solid boost-wise. She obviously gives a huge civics output. We were getting 25 civics per turn from her, so that's certainly not terrible. And she does end up in love with you. So it's very easy to get her to friendly. So I guess that's not the worst thing, but there are other characters that I get excited, but she's still good, though. It's interesting. Now that I just realized it, between Zenobia, Atosa, who else am I thinking of? Cleopatra is another one. I was about to say that I feel like a lot of the fancy characters are women, but now that I think of it, that's probably not, because I'm also thinking of Katir, I'm thinking about Cato, I'm thinking about the Orphan Eater, so those are 3 men, and I just thought of 3 women, so I guess it's not. I don't think it leans in either one direction, but either way, Zenobia is one of my favorite characters, and she's a woman, so, but that doesn't matter. Are we getting husbandry for the Egyptians? Interesting. Why? We have spoke to... Oh, we want our free light chariot, my guess? Okay. Don't necessarily hate that, but we don't have a lot of pastures in the region. Still. Okay. I can see it. The question I have, though, is if we're going to recruit more mercenaries, and honestly, I would. We've only spent 15 legitimacy on mercs. So I would. I'd get two more, at least two more of these guys, get them safely into my territory, and start upgrading them. Again, I really want this Geseta, right? I want that 6 strength ranger unit. And let's see at the cost here. It'd only be 4 legitimacy. So if this would stay the same for both buys, that would be another 8 legitimacy, bringing us to approximately 23, right? And so still, my rider's orders boost would be paying for most of that, right? And we still have clerics and shrines to lay down. We put our first shrine down here, so that's another order. Yeah, I think we can afford to buy more tribes. And I think I'd like to see that happen. It's a little bit risky, a little bit greedy. Not greedy, but you know, you're taxing yourself there, right? But I mean, use it if you got it, I guess. Politics in the homeland is fine. Oh, we have a diplomat. Of course we do. The one orator we've seen in the tournament so far, and the first religious head is a frickin' diplomat. Are you kidding me? Everything else is fine, though. All right, back to Blaj, back to Assyria. Yeah, this is one of my favorite things about the square maps. In some ways, they can be smaller, even smaller arenas than you expect them to do, because very often you can end up in a situation where half the map is bisected by a mountain range, or you know, if it's inland sea, you could just have such a better path drawing you through like one part of the ocean rather than the other part of the ocean. You know, so maybe you fight primarily in the north and the south, and we've seen that happen a couple times already in the tournament. And I actually think it's interesting. I think it's very interesting when a good portion of the map effectively gets cut out of the gameplay. And it can also become interesting politically, because once somebody meets the Scythians, it's going to become a question of like, well, do you try to fight them? Do you try to go to war with them and expand into them? Or do you just say, screw it, and piece them out so they don't raid you and they only harass your opponent, and you just neglect that side of the map? It's really cool to see. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting point. If we could get the Gallic leader to like us as the Egyptians, you could maybe get an increased discount. Another option, we don't have the ability to take a spouse. We could always try to take a tribal spouse to reduce the costs as well. I definitely think that it looks to me, and I'll double check in fact. Yeah, it looks to me as if we took the 6th legitimacy to declare war. And so that's interesting to me. Since we didn't actually expand into the Gauls yet, I think if you're going to do the orator strategy, maybe you don't take this. Because I think the savings that you would get for your recruit cost would actually equalize this, right? So let's say you've already spent an extra 2 or 4 legitimacy on these tribal guys. And now maybe this would be down to 3 if you were to recruit this guy, right? You would save yourself legitimacy through recruiting the tribes, and then now it's year 24, right? It's turn 24. Now is the time you could declare war against the Gauls after saving, you know, hopefully you save yourself about 6 legitimacy by recruiting tribes who like you, or at least certainly don't dislike you, right? Because now by attacking that unit, he's actually going to make his opinion even worse, because you get a minus 20 every time you attack a unit. So really, if you're going to buy more tribes, now would be the time to do it. And, oh, he just bought a tribe now. But we'd like to see a little bit more buying. I really want to see a melee unit again. But, yeah, so that's definitely something interesting for those of you who might watch this match and get inspired to try an orator yourself. That's something to think about. Maybe you don't necessarily declare war on the very first tribe you see, and you try to use them to farm. Of course, it's difficult to know without full map knowledge, you know, if that's a tribe you want to recruit or if that's a tribe you want to expand into. some tribes can give you a bad outcome, but not really. I mean, most of them, I can only think of one meeting event that taxes you for not going to war against them. I think it makes you spend like 100 food or go to war or something like that. Most of them tend to give you good stuff. So you'll trade the 6 legitimacy for 100 wood or something, things like that, or trade the 6 legitimacy for a trait like gracious, I think is another one that pops up. All right, so back in the lands of Assyria, we're trying to clear up this way. Looking like we have to retreat a little bit. Gonna get a hero on our sentinel slinger. Have more slingers coming down the pipeline. How many slingers do we have right now? Let's take a look. 3. Okay, so we did lose one. Yes, and we have our lovely marksmen shooting off into the distance. And Egypt did eventually, send this guy out into the wilderness as well, so we won't lose either of our scouts, which is nice. That's possible. Yeah, sure. Definitely, I think every event pool has a handful of not strictly beneficial events. Hard to say. There's about like 50 tribe meeting events, and there's about, or 20-ish, and then there's like another 50 tribe clearing events. And they all have different things that determine what's actually showing up. Let's see what the Assyrians can see of this. Anything? They can see the warrior. Cool. All right, so now let's look at the Egyptian military. The Egyptian military has 3 warriors and 2 tribal units. So currently, the Egyptian military is actually greater than the Assyrian military. Yeah, so I call that a big win for the Egyptians early on. Of course, Assyria did secure the central site. This is how the players met. Assyria was just clearing this central site while Egypt was making their way toward it. We have met a tribal leader. Ooh. Oh, damn. I would have loved to see that. We could have swapped into a diplomat. No, are you kidding me? We could have swapped into a diplomat and gotten peace with the Scythians. That event, that's what that allows. If you accept the peace, it changes your archetype to a diplomat. And we already got some tribal units. If we wanted to buy more, we could try to buy more on this turn before accepting the result of that event. And we could have then just spent the civics to get a Scythian alliance. I'm shocked that didn't just happen. Shocked and disappointed that didn't just happen. That would have been amazing. What an amazing turn of events that could have been. Yep, they just got their Swift. That would come from harvesting. A little bit late. Would have loved to have that earlier when we were hiring tribals, but better late than never. Wow, that would have been so cool. I would have sprung for that. I think I would have taken the alliance. Because it's not like our stats really would have changed. We would have gained a discipline and we would have lost a civics. So it's not like one of the types of thing that's tricky, right, is like, let's say if you're a schemer, right, well then you're playing around being a schemer. So you don't want to swap into a diplomat. But if you've already been playing an orator and you've already hired a bunch of tribes and you don't want to spend much more legitimacy, right, well then swapping into a diplomat's no big deal. And I think a hero would be another good example. Like a hero, I like to start out and clear a bunch, right? But if I just used my hero to clear this whole territory and start settling, and then I came over these mountains and crossed and met the Scythians and got an offer for both peace and swapping into a diplomat, well then I already used my hero what I wanted it to do, so I'd probably take that offer and just dump the civics in for the alliance. That's such a great event. That could be a game-changing event. Love it. And that's one of the things, right? Is that I don't mind if events change the outcome of games. You know, that's something I had a discussion about that recently. You know, this meeting event would have been chance-based. And of course, the player has the decision to make there, and Moroten chose to stay an orator. But I think this would have been a game-changing event if Moroten opted to become a diplomat and take a Scythian alliance. And frankly, I don't see an issue with that in this game, competitive or otherwise. For me, my style of competition, it's like, yeah, we're competing, we're playing, but at the same time, it's like, that's part of the fun of the game, right? So I don't know. I don't mind if chance help determine the outcome of match is where I was going with that. And I find it a little bit interesting. I'm not being critical, to be clear. I'm not being critical. I'm just allowing me to say that I don't quite understand and or empathize the perspective of the type of player who says, well, I don't want random chance determining my matches at all. Because, first of all, in Old World, that's impossible. Even just coming back to this as an example, getting a diplomat as our patriarch while we're an orator is just random. Like, that's 100% random. And how much that does or doesn't determine the game is random. It is, for each player to decide. But yeah, no, I don't know. I think random chance is fine. And it's fun. And it makes the games interesting. Anyway, back to this game. Rant over. We get aristocracy in 6 turns as the Assyrians. We also have comp bow as an option. That would be a tasty choice. But we don't really have the science to quite beeline it. So it does make sense to go for aristocracy first. That would be a long comp bow, and we don't really want to invest that much into it. We can now settle a site. Will be an opportunity to bring in our third family. I'll be curious which one we pick. Clerics, of course, will give us a law. And here we go. Patrons or clerics? Here's the question. We do have aristocracy now. Divination now, so we can recoup some orders. Well, we're not recouping orders. We weren't the orator. We can get more orders. I mean, I do love patrons. Nice. Oh, I love this. I'm really happy he went patrons. That's cool. I appreciate the shit out of that. Cool. Great. Screw the law. Who cares? Now I hope he... honestly, now I'm rooting for Assyria just because he didn't pick clerics. I don't know. I really don't like the new cleric design. It just... something about it. I don't jive with it. Not even that it's bad, I just don't like it. Anyway, so this is shaping up to be a very fascinating session for this game. Looks like Assyria is going to do some fine clearing here. One of the things about bringing in patrons, he probably saw this precious and thought to himself, all right, well, there's precious nearby, and there's this gold, so this would be another nice patron spot, which is going to give him access to better culture and give him more opportunities to rush production in more than one city. So that's another reason why I like patrons around. And also you can send that luxury to your military cities. So maybe send the literature over here, get this culture propped up, because these ones are already close to getting developing. Be curious if he already sent it. He has not already sent it. So yeah, tossing the literature out in a city that doesn't have a latent culture source is always a nice bonus as well. I really like the flexibility of patrons. And here we are. We have some events. We can get a zealot heir. What do we choose? We chose a zealot. Egyptian zealot. Always gross to see. And okay, let's become soldier. If we become soldier as general, Oh, a zealot soldier. Fantastic. As general, plus 20 training per military unit killed. Fantastic to see. We are 18 years old. We're ready to go. And we got the God's Consort event, another divine rule event, which will, if you accept this now, it's minus 5 orders. And then, yep. And then once this guy dies, you will get the option to build a shrine or something. I forget what it is. Maybe it's a project. I don't remember. I don't know. Remember how it's represented in the game specifically, if it's an improvement or project. But it's basically a monument to the God's Consort. And what it mechanically what it does is give you 2 orders per turn in the city. So essentially, grabbing the God's Consort is always worth the orders investment, because it's 5 orders now, and then once the guy dies, you get 2 orders for the rest of the game, which, as an orator, is going to be another thing that recoups our tribal recruitment cost. So, again, seeing a couple more recruits would be really nice. We've got 25 science per turn in Egypt versus 18, so we've had a steady lead as Egypt for a while now. Going for a trapper here, I find that a little bit interesting, but of course the hunters do like fur, so not a bad grab. I might, for something like this, and obviously we have a barracks here, we're getting culture level up in 3 turns. Really, I'd probably just build another slinger if we could afford it, or maybe opt to do the trapper, the officer, because the officer comes out quicker than the trapper. And then once I hit developed culture, since I have a judge here, I just spend my money on the trapper. Rush the trapper out. Again, try to save that build queue time. And just again, a comparison, we could do the same thing here. We could rush out the apprentice officer, but the reason why I would preference rushing the trapper rather than the officer is overall build time. If we hard build the apprentice officer, that's 6 turns, and then we spend 1 turn rushing the trapper. If we do the opposite, then we spend 8 turns on the trapper, and then a 9th turn rushing out the officer. So what we could see here is him going halfway, because if you put half production in, that can technically reduce the cost so that it does reduce the cost so it's cheap. But personally, I don't usually like putting production into cities unless it's for doctrine or volunteers. And I guess civics if it gets super expensive, but normally once it gets super expensive for civics, I just find a different location. Building another shrine, so that will be another order. Building a quarry. Let's take a look at worker count for our opponents. There's 2 workers in each nation. In fact, there is now a 3rd worker in Egypt. So worker tempo goes to Egypt here. That's nice to see. And really loving this. We're just putting all of our quick citizens into specialists. And this is another thing that kind of makes a landowner's family like a poor man's science family, even if you aren't focusing on things like lumber mills or focusing on things like groves, because still in 2 turns, this city's going to get 1 extra science per turn. And we're growing citizens in another 2 turns. So we can get that again. So if you think of it this way, if we were building an urban citizen right now, it would probably take about 4 turns, and we would get 2 science. So with our growth and with our production rate, in 4 turns, we're still going to get about 2 science. So it's the same thing. The exact same thing. You're just doing it a different way. Of course, we do, if you could build the urban, maybe you preference the urban. I'm not saying only build rural specialists. I'm just saying with landowners and the rapid growth, it's a way to get that science quicker, because science now is better than science later. All right. Doing some nice exploration. We've declared war on the Scythians. Let's take a look at the legitimacy. We have 57 legitimacy for the Egyptians, despite spending 19 on our mercs. And there's only 61 legitimacy over in Assyria. So they don't have a heavy lead on us with their legitimacy, which is honestly great news for Egypt. So Egypt is in a bad spot. I think they're going to run into a little bit of an issue with the expansion stuff, but really, no, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 4 Assyrian cities. So yeah, Moroten's actually doing fantastic. Great shrugging off of that early aggression, not folding under pressure. Some players could see that and just completely buckle under the pressure of having a very powerful commander unit, having 2 units, in a very early slinger. He had to deal with 2 slingers very early on, coming up and ruining his day, taking kills. We have a 5-strength Javelineer over in Egypt now, taking kills from you. It can be very easy to have that flummox you, to have it tilt you for the rest of the game, but Moroten doesn't seem to have flinched. He seems to have shrugged it off nicely. He reacted nicely. He had good instincts. He built military units first. As soon as he saw more pressure and saw the conflict coming, he built another military unit. As soon as he settled his cleric city, his first build here with an additional military unit, additional warrior. We have a cleric warrior. So he played it straight and true and wasted no time reacting to the situation appropriately. And now I actually think it's Assyria who's a little bit on the back foot here. Let's take a peek. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 military units in Assyria compared to 5 in Egypt. So this is still what I like to see. Look, we have 2 more military units coming out. Goes back to that age-old thing I've been saying. Always try to have some military units being built at all times. And you want to do that, especially... This is the other thing to think about, too. And that I say that often. And another reason why I emphasize that here in Egypt's case, think about the fact that you're dealing with a champion nation. You're going to want to factor in that champions has a default higher military output than you. So you need to assume that if your opponent is constantly building military units from their champ seat, now, of course, we as the observer know that a worker's being built here, that's not happening, right? But you have to assume if your opponent is constantly building military units from their champ seat, then they are going to be able to outproduce you, which is another reason why you don't want to slack off on your unit production when you're dealing against a human opponent. Because you don't want to be stuck for round 2 invasion of Egypt from Assyria and find out that you only have a third or half of the units as your opponent because you were building workers and other shit. We did lose our scout down here. That is a bummer. But I think we're in a good position. We've secured this mountains, which is nice. Going to give us a horse. And we did get husbandry, correct? Yes, we do. So we will have access to chariots, which is going to be... And we have that flag, so that's going to be a nice, decent counter to the Rams, should they show up. And it looks like we're going to try and head back here to clear this barb camp. Oh, and God, I've been talking about landowners as a flex military family. Look at this. This is iron mine with a very quick iron miner. And what can we do? We can buy a couple of tiles and build another iron mine with a very quick iron miner. So you can turn this capital into a military hub very easily because of the flexibility of this tile buying and the ease with which you can put specialists in these cities. I really hope to see Moroten do that and flex on that capability of the landowner's capital. Let's take a look. Yep, the Assyrians have not met the Scythians, have not met the Vandals, have not met the Numidians. Egyptians have met the Scythians and the Numidians. There are only one of each of the Numidians and Vandals on the map. So one more tribe left for the Egyptians to meet, and the Assyrians have not met any of the southern tribes. It does look like Assyria is posturing to take this northern half and will probably rely heavily on coastal movement, which is certainly a nice thing to do if you're going to be using rams. Nothing more terrifying than speeding up the rams with coastal movement. Economy. I wanted to take a quick look at the economy here. We're pretty much negative with the exception of 10 iron in Assyria. If we go over to Egypt, we're all on the positive with a little bit of negative gold. So I like that. We do have some good gold income here. That's coming from the furs in the hunter's seat. Really, really good. Basically makes it a pseudo trader's seat. Yeah, I think yeah, we have raids right now coming for Egypt. In fact, chat was just saying this as well. I definitely think it was a mistake not taking the peace. I really don't think you lose much by swapping from an orator of all things into a diplomat. And in fact, let's not forget, we have a diplomat who is ruling our religion right now. So that would actually give us a 60 opinion boost with our pagan. And again, I'm not normally in a rush to take that event where we swap into a diplomat in the middle of a game, or at the start of a game, really, but I think this is one of the situations where it really, really could have paid off, because now we're also having raiders. Oh, these guys are raiding Blaj. That's good, though. That's good. So it's raid time now, and the Scythians and the Numidians will all raid Egypt. And basically, we even have the civics for it at this point. It's 400 civics to instigate a tribal alliance, and all you need to do is have peace with the tribe, pretty much to guarantee that it's going to fire off. You will need to pay something like, gold or like maybe a tribute for the peace, but it's pretty guaranteed that it's going to happen. So, effectively, by not accepting that peace and swapping to a diplomat, Moroten effectively tossed away a tribal alliance with the Scythians, and I think that's going to be a mistake. I think that's going to be a big mistake. Certainly would have been cool to see, that's for sure. Building another scout, nice. Nice to see that. Always important to keep your vision up on the map. We do have a scout back here, but it's not really keeping eyes on too much. Going to get us a sense of when we settle. Going to get a sense of when we start clearing down in this direction. Be curious to see where Assyria goes. So this will give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Egypt already has 5. Egypt, I think, will be in a tough position to ever get this site now. I think there's just too much pressure from the Syrians up here. And with the commanders, with the nearby Sentinel territory, and this guy forestry with the marksman, just too good. All right, so it does look like we put in a little bit of production in there and then opted to purchase it. All right, not the worst thing to do. Not personally what I would do, but it's certainly one way to do it. It does reduce the overall cost of rushing. Oh, yes, that's correct. Tribal Alliance is 400 training. That is a good point. Civics is the National Alliance. I always forget that. I always get that mixed up. So that's true. One thing I haven't paid attention to here is the ambitions. We are one specialist away from getting a Control 5 specialist ambition in Egypt. That'll be a nice thing for our legitimacy. We have to kill 5 Numidians. Honestly, I just don't see this happening, because you're going to have to kill enough Numidians and let them keep respawning. And if any of these become raiders, raiders don't count. So that's going to be annoying. And we have Control 5 workers and 3 connected cities. That should be easy enough. Yep, we just cleared this camp. We have a settler come. Oh, we rushed out a settler. Shocking. But okay. That's certainly one way to do it. One fun fact about rushing out growth units is that it's more expensive than any other form of rushing. Growth units have something like a 50% increased 50% cost modifier or something like that. I don't remember what it actually is, but it's more expensive, which doesn't necessarily mean never do it, but just keep that in mind if you're thinking about rushing out a settler. I've certainly used civics to rush out settlers before, which, in fact, speaking of Carthage being busted, I'm surprised we don't see people rushing out settlers with Carthage more often, because that's another busted thing you can do with their metric shit ton of civics. Clear super fast, rush every settler out in like 0 turns, and expand like an insane, crazy person. Again, not saying it's necessarily, excuse me, the best thing you could be doing with your time or civics, but it's certainly a thing you can do. Aristocracy in 1 turn on Egypt, which will get us our 4th law. We do have the civics for it. And we are importing horses. We're getting a shrine of Osiris like this because A, we want this culture in here. And B, we want the culture from the shrine itself. Now, the only thing I would have done is to just re-emphasize this point, right? We're 4 turns away on the shrine. We're 16 turns away from leveling up. If this shrine was placed right here on top of the fur, let's see if I can iron that out. Is that on the tooltip? All right, I can't figure out how to make it work on the tooltip. But anyway, if this shrine was being built over here on the fur, it would bulldoze, as in remove this resource permanently, and give this city a 50 culture boost, which means rather than waiting 16 turns to level up your city, you would be leveled up in just 4 turns once the improvement is done. That's always something to think about when you're trying to rush culture and rush out a unique unit as quickly as possible. That culture timing can sometimes be critical, and 50 culture per turn is certainly worth it. And the reason why I'm selecting this fur is because there's another fur right here. So even though we would bulldoze this fur, the border pop would grab us this one right here. So effectively, we really wouldn't lose the fur. Long term, sure, maybe, fine, whatever, but I don't care. I want things to happen now. Speed is everything. No. Okay, so someone's saying, to be fair, Moroten didn't know how many tribes are down here. You are correct. However, on a map of this size, I would assume, we hadn't met these guys yet, I would assume crossing this mountains and seeing the Scythians here, the way, given my knowledge and experience of the game, I would assume that the majority of the tribes down here were Scythian. If not all of them, then at least half of the map, right? Because you think of it that way, right? Let's say the Scythians are here. Well, then that could mean we'd have Scythian, 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 right? So 4. And then over here, maybe you have Numidian, 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 right? So even if there are 2 tribes down here, they're still splitting the half of whatever is left of the remaining sites. Now, of course, to your point, I don't know how many sites are down here, but I do know how big the map is. So I know there's a site here. I have every reason to intuit there's a site somewhere around here. There's at least one around here. There's at least one in the center. So we're talking 3 sites, another 3 sites, and I would be off by only 2 sites. And yeah, so if it's 3 sites and 3 sites, that would be 6 sites. If we divide that in half to 2 different remaining tribes, a tribal alliance gets me access to 3 different tribal sites. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about it not in terms of clearing or even reducing raid pressure. I'm thinking in terms of potential opportunities for future expansion. Because I could just use my income to expand and not even have to spend the orders to come down here to clear. It would literally just be build a settler, sell a bunch of food, and buy a city site. But yes, no, to your point, yes, it's definitely a hard decision to make. You don't have all the information. And that's one thing that's nice about playing this game, is that you just make the best decision you can with the information that you have. Of course, 100%. Yep, still have to build a garrison in this city. For sure. Has to build a garrison and a stronghold, so that's going to be a 9-turn build, regardless of what we do. Indeed, indeed. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a garrison next. Actually, another way you could have done that, you could have killed 2 birds with 1 stone. You could have built a garrison here. Oh shit, no, because you need to be developed to build a stronghold. So never mind, ignore that. I was going to say garrison and stronghold, but that doesn't make sense because you need to be developing to get the stronghold. We do have spoked wheel in the docket. I'll be curious if we're going to go ahead and grab that. 30 science on turn 32, not the worst. right around where you want to be. I like to try and keep my science, at the very least, in pace with whatever turn I'm at. So that doesn't necessarily mean exactly 32 science on turn 32. But being on 30 science is certainly not bad. Compared to being on 27, this is not ideal. That's a little bit lower than you want to be. But sometimes spikes will happen. If all of a sudden you jump up to 60 science on turn 40, then you kind of make up for it in the back end. For those of you who've joined late, it's interesting because of both. We started with a frugal orator, which is a very unique pick in the tournament so far. So far, I seem to be doing pretty decent. We've gone up against a affable commander, right? So, interestingly enough, both opponents in this match started with only 10 science per turn. As opposed to something like a schemer, or maybe an educated schemer, which I believe I think that's the highest possible science output you could get on turn 1, educated schemer. I think that's even higher than an intelligent schemer. I might be wrong about that, but either one of those types gets you about 23 to 24 science per turn from turn 1. So, massive difference, massive shift there from what we're used to. We've seen a handful of scholars. We've seen a handful of tacticians which start wisdom. We've seen a handful of schemers for sure. And of course, even myself, when I picked a warrior as Babylon, I still chose to be an educated warrior to get myself a little bit of extra wisdom to kind of bridge that science gap. Does look like Assyria's going to continue clearing along the coast. One thing I would like to see from Assyria in this situation, if you're trying to posture towards a site that's squarely on your opponent's side of the map, it definitely would be smart to realign the scout. We are aware of these wooded hills. So we as Assyria can see these wooded hills. The fog starts right around here-ish. So I would like to see the scout get up into these wooded hills, because what you don't want to end up is although we do have really strong units here, right? So it's not a huge deal, but you don't want to end up in a situation where your opponent has units staging nearby to attack the same camp as you, and doesn't necessarily mean you don't want to fight it, but I'm saying you want to be aware if there are units there, you want to be aware of it. I definitely think Assyria is fine to be posturing over the site. I just think they could use a little bit more information. That's all I'm saying. Coming up over here. Interesting. We're saving the free site for the very last. Very common strategy. No real reason to rush settling that site when you have, clear timers counting down. Don't hate that. I'll be curious to see this be another patron site. Would like to see that be another patron site. Oh, and kudos to my friend for doing the Flatland Quarry. There's one thing I like about this. A, we have the marble here, and then B, we're doing a quarry here. You'll notice on this tooltip, the adjacent quarry is boosted by 0.2 civics. So if you do the math on that, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2. You can actually give this city an extra 1.2 civics if you surround every marble quarry, marble quarry with just a simple quarry around it. It's an extra 1 civics per turn. Very nice, easy, simple way to boost that civic output in a city. Looks like we got a mercenary chariot on the Egyptian side of the map. That's a huge, nice boost for the Egyptians. They can get right down to this territory to help ease the clearing of this site. Really good news for them. And hey, cool, the Assyrians did move a little bit forward, get a little bit better vision of what's going on in Egypt. Still thinking that maybe we want to take a peek up this hill, especially if we're about to clear this, but still, nice to see that scout move. Really pleased with that. And we're making fine progress as Egypt clearing. We've basically, with this amount of pressure, we're fully secured inside our homeland, and then off of these mountains. This is kind of like the frontier. And it looks to me as if that early aggression has set our Assyrian back. We pretty much already called that, but it's really definitive now, because from these two positions, I can't really see any reason why, unless Egypt is just content to consolidate and start maybe pressuring back towards Assyria. In theory, Egypt could just keep claiming this wilderness. You're going to want to keep forces behind in the event that you have an angry Assyrian jump out of the woods at you. Definitely don't want angry Assyrians jumping out of the woods. But yeah, I think there's enough units to send a clearing force out into the wilderness and kind of just keep staking your territory along the map if you want. And I think this would be very difficult for Assyria to deal with if suddenly, all of Egypt claimed the majority of this open plain. I'd be curious to see where the main battle plane takes place. I suspect it will still be about this region. But if Egypt does clear up to here, I mean, Egypt could pressure multiple different regions. Egypt finally has met the Vandals. Let's see if they went ahead and was unafraid of the tribes. I don't know. I think they did that for the Numidians. Well, anyway, it was really good scouting on that. In fact, actually, let me take a peek at that. This is the map cleared for the Egyptians. So we found down here, we found the Numidians. We've just recently discovered the Vandals. And we're going to get a sense soon about what the center of the map looks like. If we hop on over to the Assyrian side of the map, no scouting of the southern side of the map whatsoever. So huge difference in map knowledge, huge difference in what is available for both players. All right, we have a pause timer. I'm going to check the chat, make sure that I'm not needed for any reason. All right. Let's see where we're at. We're getting drama for the Syrians. Oh, are they pausing? Are they done? Let me check the chat. How much time have we been playing? It has been an intense session. Hour and a half? Or an hour and 15 minutes? Yep. 50. An hour and 50 minutes. 47 to be exactly. Okay. Yep, we have Moroten being dragged away from the match from a real-life circumstance. Totally understandable. Got a nice couple hours into this game, and they're going to have to finish up for now. Totally fine. Totally understandable. And a great, exciting first half of the game for our two players here. I really think Moroten did a fantastic job of holding off that aggression. And also kudos to Blaj just for having, just for being, aggressive, for being ballsy, for feeling like, he had strong advantage and just going with it and seeing how it panned out. I think there was a point where he probably should have backed off. I think he could have gotten a couple of kills off of those hired mercenaries, really kind of set back that Egyptian legitimacy. But I think pretty much right around the time that, we were starting to pull our settler out and we noticed that, this settler was getting locked by, a scout or whatever, I think you should have just backed off, dealt with a scout, settle your cities, and just let Egypt, do its thing. We did, just to clarify, we did get to a point where, Moroten lost a shitload of units. At one point, it was like 1 unit to 10. Oh, sorry, 1 unit to 5. And I think actually it was 0 units to 5. Or maybe it was our militia. So I think we traded a militia for 5 Egyptian units. That's the point where you maybe just back off and don't keep going. I'll be curious where the other 10 kills came from for Egypt. I guess we lost a scout somewhere. Yeah, that was another one. But anyway, yeah, looking good for Moroten here. Of course, Syria's not out of the running yet. Let's take a look at some endgame stats before we close out this stream. Wealth is looking good for Egypt at this stage in the game. Population, Egypt makes sense. They have landowners, 5 specialists in Egypt compared to 1 in Assyria. Landowners is going to be a big boost there. Let's take a look at the breakdown there. We have 3 farmers, a miner, and an acolyte. So that landowner queue is really helping there with some early science. That's an extra 4 science just because of the landowners doing landowner stuff. 4 workers in both nations, or built in both nations, should I say. And 7 military units built in Egypt. That's awesome. This is really, really great. 7 military units built in Egypt compared to 5 in Assyria. Of course, we did lose a warrior or 2 in that early invasion, so it's probably more equal than we let on. However, still really nice to see Moroten leaning into responding to the aggressive pressure and realizing he needs the military if he's going to survive, and he doesn't care if it slows him down in his development a little much. So that's really nice to see. Laws adopted. We're already at 4 laws for Egypt, only 1 to Assyria. Technologies, 5 to Assyria, 4 to Egypt. Improvements controlled, 10 and 10. So kudos to Blaj for catching up even after all that early aggression. But we have 10 improvements on Egypt and 10 to Assyria. We'll see this too, because it's on turn 34, and this is not a lot of improvements, and that's what you're going to get with these games that end up having an intense early aggressive opening, is that there's not going to be a lot of time and orders to spend on early economic development. If we look over here to orders massively benefiting the Egyptians despite their legitimacy purchases for the orator. We have plus 20 to 11 for the Assyrians. That is going to be a result of both the that's a 6-turn order boost. It's a 6-turn difference. No, it is a 11-turn difference for both the riders, the clerics, and we do have serfdom, right? Yes, we do. And serfdom for the Egyptians. So that's a nice, strong early orders boost. This is going to be game defining if this divide stays wide for a while. And let's take a look at science. Science is neck and neck, more or less. Only 90 science advantage for Egypt in the overall tech tree, although he had a slight lead throughout the game itself. And military score, there is now currently a definitive. They're still similar, but there's still a peak here for the Egyptians, so kudos to Moroten. Anyway, if you were with us live, thanks for being here. If you came in after the fact, please leave a comment on my YouTube, or give us a like, give us a subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed another session of the Old World Community Tournament between Blaj and Moroten. I am Siontific, and until next time, thanks for watching.